Good morning, everyone. It's been a while since I've been on here, and if you're listening, I just want to say thank you, welcome. I hope this is a cozy little break from the chaos of life, and you can just take a breath with me. Today, I really wanted to talk about emotional fatigue and hope being a choice. I feel like that's what God's been teaching me in the last month, is treating hope as a choice and not as a feeling anymore. And so I wanted to share it with you, and hopefully you can feel encouraged. So I wanted to start with a psalm that I read a few days ago. I've been reading through Psalms because I need it right now. And so the psalm is Psalm 31, 12 through 14. I have become like a broken vessel, for I hear the whispering of many, terror all around, as they scheme together against me, as they plot to take my life. But I trust in you, O Lord. I say, you are my God. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies and my persecutors. So, I felt like cut to the heart by that verse when I read it recently. Most of the time when I'm reading Psalms, I don't know about you, but a lot of the times they start with David writing the purpose of the psalm. So I have my Bible cracked open here. I wish I could pull an example. Like they usually have a purpose. I think one that I read recently was like David. Yeah, of David when he feigned madness before Abimelech so that he drove him out and he went away. That's Psalm 34. So they all have like these very specific purposes. And sometimes for me that makes me feel like they don't apply to my life situation. They also often will talk about what's going on in David's life. And last year we attempted to do Bible in the Year, and we attempted to do the chronological Bible. So it was really cool when we were reading the story of David, because the Psalms he wrote with the story, that the part of the story that he was going through, we would read those together. So I got to get some context behind some of the Psalms that we read. And so often it's like, he's being pursued by armies of soldiers and chased, and people want him to literally die. And I can't relate to that. I don't have an army of people chasing after me. I don't have people who actually want me to die. So I think that has alienated me a little bit from some of the Psalms, and this Psalm that I read this morning is a perfect example of that. I hear enemies, and I immediately am like, I don't have like enemies with swords. So maybe that's just me, but that's kind of my struggle with these verses. But what caught my eye with these verses specifically was the part that says, for I hear the whispering of many. And I don't know about you, but when I think of soldiers and an army chasing after you with weapons, I don't think of whispering. And so I kind of dwelled on that a little bit and thought a little bit deeper on that. And I'm realizing this verse probably is speaking more towards like the enemy, which I am very familiar with. I know those whispers, the whispers of many, terror all around. And this last month, let me tell you, they've been loud, not very whisper-like. They've been more shouting in my mind. I just feel like in January, I struggle with my mental health a little bit more than the other months of the year. You're coming off of the holidays. Usually I can kind of get through the cold weather through the holidays because it's cozy, but then as soon as January hits, it's like, what's the point of this? Granted, here in Colorado, we've been very blessed with very nice weather this winter, so I can't complain, but that's just a contributing factor. And I also think that coming off of the holidays and then into the new year, there's so much pressure to get your life together, to get back into good routines, and to just have all your ducks in a row. And that added pressure after a season where you're surviving through the holidays, I don't know about you, but for me, it just feels like really stressful. So I enjoy January and the opportunity to like reset I like that part of it, but then it adds a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. So I've been feeling that this month. On top of all of that, Nathan started paramedic schooling a couple weeks ago. He's been crushing it. He's doing so great, and I'm super proud of him. But he has to be in school for one of the days of the week, and then all the rest of the days he's doing school full-time on top of his full-time job. So we just have less time. Like, he's just super busy. I've been super overwhelmed at work, like I said before. I work for a small business and I love my job. It's super great. But at the same time, when you work with a small team, you end up wearing just a ton of hats. And so I feel like my day is filled. Like, I just have so much to do, and we're kind of entering a year where everyone on our team is super stretched thin. And so I'm feeling it, and I feel quite overwhelmed, and it's just a lot, like, navigating the balance of trying not to stress too much about work, but then also, like, trying to do a good job at work and not just, like, slacking or not caring. So yeah, that's been a challenge for us, for our jobs/careers. And then if you haven't heard, I decided that I'm going to revise my book, Far Below Human Eyes. I published it when I was 17, and I'm super proud of it. Nothing wrong with that. I don't regret anything at all. It's just more that I think I've really grown as a writer, and I want to promote my book and, like, get it out there. And it's difficult to do that when you're promoting something that you wrote as a teenager, because there's so many things I want to change and improve. So I actually got permission to do that, and that's a huge blessing. I'm very excited about it, very excited to provide more updates on that. But that adds more work and more overwhelm on top of it all. So yeah, and then we've been battling some sickness in our home, as I'm sure you have as well. Just a lot of other, like, personal things, different relationships that have gone up and down over the last month. And so anyway, I just say that to say, if you feel that way, if you feel overwhelmed in the last month, you are not alone. We all have things going on, and I'm sure you probably have even more going on than I do. So I know I'm not the only one who feels that emotional fatigue and emotional overwhelm. I kind of find myself at the end of the day just feeling, like, so spent, but not even, like, physically. Like, my body's not physically tired. It's just my mind is so exhausted from thinking about everything and just being present. So I think often that makes me feel drained for my quality time with God, which I know God meets me in that, and he still wants to spend time with me, but it is frustrating over time when I want to give God my best and I want to be present, and then I feel like I'm so drained that I just don't have energy. Yeah, so all that's to say, I think emotional fatigue is very normal this time of year. And not to sound, like, too dramatic, but with everything that has been going on and things that I can't even really elaborate on here, I have had a hard time, like, feeling hope this month, in a lot of different areas and situations. I know that sounds dire, but I know I'm not alone in that. I think there's a part of me that speaks up when I say that, and it's like, no, there's hope. But I don't want to be scared of that feeling of, I don't know, just letting myself feel the struggle. I think God's really pressing me right now and teaching me a lot, and it really does feel like more than I can handle. I'm holding on to the truth that it's not more than I can handle, that I trust that God's not going to give me more than I can handle. But boy, does it feel like it. And I know I just need him to carry me through that. Which leads me to I feel like the biggest lesson God's been teaching me this month, which is hope is not a feeling, it's a choice. I don't know if you know Jackie Hill Perry, but I follow her. I've read one of her books. I look up to her a ton. She's an awesome, like, speaker, Christian. I don't know, just a cool person. So you should follow her if you don't already. But she posted a video this last week, so I want to give her all the credit. This is not my thought, but I just thought it was really good and kind of convicted me. She was explaining how, with her kids, when her kids are babies, she has to take care of them. She has to do everything for them. She has to feed them and change them and comfort them and hold them. And so that's just normal, when they're babies. And then as her children have grown, she's encouraged them to learn how to do things on their own. So, pick up your own toys or get dressed. And she was explaining how, like, her daughter was like, well, you give my little brother the dishes, or like you get the dish for him. Why do I have to get my own dish? And she was like, because you're older and I want you to learn how to do things on your own. She was explaining how she thought, our relationships with God are similar, where when our faith is new and we're little babies in our faith, God really does, like, take care of so much for us. And I felt that so much as a young Christian. I just felt so comforted by him. I was so, I guess, like, emotionally, I don't know how to phrase it. My relationship with God was very, like, emotional. And I just got so much comfort with being with him. I felt like anything I encountered was a challenge, but it wasn't impossible. I never struggled with hope. I always had hope. And to be honest, looking back, I think it was more of a feeling. I think the hope I had was definitely like a gift from God. I'm not going to say it was easy, but I will say it was easier as a young Christian. Then as my faith grew and I got older, I noticed, like, difficult things would happen in my life and I wouldn't immediately feel better. And it sucked. I would go through these struggles and like, God he didn't just, like, sweep in and fix it or make me feel immediately better like he always did before. So it definitely made me question, like, is God still there? Like, why did things change? I felt this shift. I think gradually over, like, the first year we were married, that shift was kind of happening. And then over the last year and a half, I'd say I've really felt that, where I've been going through a lot of different things and he hasn't just, like, made it better. I think before my faith was very much like, I have faith that this thing is going to get better. And I have hope that it's only up from here. Like, I would always see the silver lining, I guess. And now it's not getting better. Or, like, your heart breaks again, or things just get worse, or whatever it is. And you wonder, like, God, where are you? Like, what is going on? What are you doing? Why aren't you making me feel better? Why aren't you fixing this thing? And I'm realizing that God, I think, is teaching me, like, the same lessons that you would teach a toddler or a young child, teaching me that he wants me to learn how to choose hope on my own, not just feel it as the gift he's given me, and choose to find comfort rather than waiting for comfort to find me from him. So that's been a big shift this month. And I haven't been feeling very hopeful, but choosing to have hope in God despite all of the things, and also despite the potential future that it could just get worse, has really changed everything. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys and encourage you as well, because I think right now a lot of people are struggling for hope, and it's very easy to look at circumstances and think that hope is illogical. because it is. I will say, like, I think hope as a choice is an illogical choice. The circumstances around us are going to constantly tell us why hope doesn't make sense in a certain situation as a choice. I can tell you there are so many areas in my life right now where choosing hope seems stupid. And it definitely just doesn't come as a feeling. And so I would just encourage you, like, don't listen to the circumstances or the outside influences that would tell you that it's dumb. Or do listen to them. It is dumb, but, like, be okay with it being dumb. Be okay with it being illogical. I think faith is very illogical sometimes in how we respond to things. So, yeah. I just wanted to share that with you. If that resonates with you, I hope it does. I also wanted to encourage you, like, a shift that's helped me is shifting my focus from the circumstance or the relationship or whatever it is that is causing the problem, and shifting it towards what my number one is, my number one goal, my God, you know? And my number one goal is to serve God. And, like, my hope is in heaven. You know, I get to be with God one day. And so when I hope that, you know, my relationship gets better, or my health gets better, or fill in the blank, something gets better, the country gets better, you will be disappointed. And then that's when hope feels illogical, because time and time again, people will let you down, and you're going to let yourself down, and things aren't going to work out the way you wanted them to. And I don't mean to sound like depressing, but, like, that's just the reality of life. I've learned that more often than not, the worst case scenario happens, or, you know, things don't work out the way you want them to. If you're putting your hope that things are going to get better, and that there's always a bright side, you're going to be disappointed, because there's going to be time where you're like, I don't see a bright side of this at all. But when you put your hope in something that cannot change, no matter what the circumstance is, you can trust that, like, will get to be with God one day. You have heaven to look forward to, and you have God with you now, and nothing can change that. Nothing can go so wrong that you don't get to be with God. When you put your hope in that, like, it doesn't minimize the struggles you're going with or invalidate them, but it just adds perspective to them. And it's really helped me. So I know that is such a simple message today, and it's something you've definitely heard before. It's nothing new, but I wanted to share that with you this morning and encourage you. There's a lot of crap going on in the world, probably a lot of crap going on in your own life as well. But I'm choosing to have hope, even though I don't feel it. And I invite you to choose that with me. So, thanks for listening in. And I am so grateful for you. I'm going to be attempting to do a longer podcast plus blog once a month, and then probably, like, a shorter episode on the podcast once a week or once every other week, so depending. But if you've been here from the start, I really appreciate you. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to just, like, make things like this. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I pray that you would find hope in your current situation and put your hope in the one thing that can't falter. I love you. God loves you. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Okay, bye.